Hello there, and welcome to our weather and wellness update for the week of July 14th, 2025. Today is actually Tuesday, July 15th, and I get to model like exactly some of the conditions that many people will be experiencing in the next week. So yesterday I was trying to do my recording and it just totally wasn't working. So I kept going in and making new recordings and corrections and redos and nothing. It just depleted me more than anything and I just ran out of energy. And at the end of the day, it was getting late. I just had to make the decision like, we're done here for the day and it's not the time to push through. We will come back tomorrow once we've gotten some rest and are a little bit more fresh. So, thank you for being here. I do intend to put these out every Monday. So, we have a little bit of a runway for the coming week. And well, in this case, I'm getting it out on Tuesday and I will get it out as soon as I am able each week. So that is where we are with that. I hope your week is a little bit less of a topsy-turvy start than my own. And let's go ahead and get to it. This week is all about self-care and comfort food in terms of our diet and lifestyle that we're going to be looking at. We've been through a period of relative stability. It's been hot and we've managed that, but once we got into the heat wave and the high pressure, it remained relatively stable. So when that happens, we have some time to adjust and then we know what to wear on the hot days. We know what foods are better nutrition. We're staying hydrated, all those things for the heat wave in many cases. And now things are becoming more unsettled and there's also areas of isolated severe weather, which is also unsettling. So that's just going to require some adjustments of our mindset, maybe some adjustments of what we eat and how we manage our expectations and choices throughout the week. I'm Sheila O'Connor. I'm a health coach and educator. And on this channel, we look at the weather and how it impacts our health and wellness in our body, in our mind, and in our spirit, and then discuss how to use diet and lifestyle supports to manage and navigate the changing conditions. And I think this is super important because we've kind of lost the ability or the way that we're relating our health to the weather. We kind of have all these other things dialed in, like our macros, our electrolytes or our fitness, all these different things. And those are all great and they're super important and we can control them. But what happens when we're doing all the right things every day and having success, and then all of a sudden we're not having success? So we have to start thinking about other things going on and how our whole self is interacting with the environment. And the weather, as we've discussed already on this channel, it can come from a lot of places. It can happen locally, which is happening in your neighborhood, even or regionally, you can recognize things are going on, or maybe a storm is coming and you can feel that. Sometimes the humidity will really, really raise before it rains. So those are very localized things. There's also energy that is coming through from the sun, from the moon, from even planets, which we'll talk about. We have a planet that you'll hear about this week in terms of what could be impacting various things. So it's really important with the weather starting to change faster and faster and trending in that way, and the swings being much more dramatic. It's very helpful to understand what's going on as we go through our week. Here in London, after a relatively long heat wave, it's been very, very windy the last couple of days. Now, wind in itself can be quite disruptive. It really stirs things up. So you're just kind of walking around in this soup of energies, kind of like all over the place, and everybody else is in the same soup. So it can feel kind of chaotic, quite honestly. And that's probably what happened when I was trying to do the recording yesterday. Sometimes what we experience can directly be a reflection of the weather that's going on around us. Certainly, the heat can slow us down, and the energy or the wind can make us feel more chaotic. And we don't always make that connection of why do I feel so scattered and so unable to focus and concentrate? And it can really bring our work productivity and things out of balance. So that's kind of one way that a weather situation could really affect our mind. It can affect our focus and concentration when it's really windy like this and the energies are getting stirred up. So let's keep looking at what's going on. The heat is continuing in many places. We are in summer. We're moving into deeper into summer. We're just finishing the first month of summer since the solstice. And then at the end of the week, or actually early next week, we'll move into the second month. And that is usually really steady summer. So we will expect things to continue to be hot. I think the heat wave came really early this year, and usually it kind of gets to where it's building. There are fires, there are floods, droughts, earthquakes. There is a lot of stuff going on. And I think make sure that I'm sure you're paying attention to what's going on in your own area. On this channel, I'm kind of doing an overview of what's kind of going on in some different location and using that as points to just help us get that better understanding of the weather. Of course, apply this to your own location when it is appropriate. Sometimes that might be right now, sometimes that might be in a few weeks. Like, oh yeah, oh yeah, it's windy now. This is what the situation was with the wind and so on. You'll want to practice making connections between the weather and your own health. You might want to keep a journal. I know I spoke to a family member was a couple of weeks ago, and who are managing their pain, and there was a real inconsistency in the pain management. So I just kind of asked the question, like, oh, I'm just curious, is is the pain worse when the weather's getting bad or when there's thunderstorms or something? And sure enough, that was the case. And they had already kind of been noticing that. So you might want to kind of keep track, because if once you make that connection, it actually makes the way that you look at the weather and understand the weather and interpret the weather forecast totally differently. Many of us kind of grew up just looking at the temperature in terms of the weather, but there's so many different layers to it, right? There's the temperature, the humidity, the barometer, the barometric pressure. And I know that when you watch a weather forecast, they're talking about that, but I only relatively recently started to understand what that meant. Well, I find that very interesting, and I hope you are finding that a little bit interesting too, and we'll continue to enjoy making that connection a little bit more. Let's go ahead and share the screen and see what's going on. Today, I'm focusing mostly on barometric pressure data, and then a few headlines and a couple of the biometeorology. I'll have a look at the end, and then we'll talk about some nice comfort foods for summer that will be supportive for the week. So let's go ahead and do the share. Here we go. This is the barometric pressure graph for London. And of course, we have this line here in the middle is now. We have 7 days before and 7 days after. So you can see it was relatively stable up in the high pressure, and then now it's getting a little bit unsettled. And then we can look at the 19th, 20th, and 21st as the pressure starting to really go down. So if you live in southern England, you're looking at Friday night to Sunday morning. It is a pressure dropping kind of weekend. So take that into consideration when you're having your weekend fun. Here we have Dublin. They just experienced some very low pressure, and we're going to look at their biometeorology for that as well. And they're kind of moving up and down. We have Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is one of those places that when you go there, everyone will tell you, like, we have every season in one day often. And I think I've been there. I lived there and I have family there. And you can see like what their graph looks like in terms of the pressure. So folks living there definitely want to be checking in often about how that might be affecting it. And I'm not sure what this is looking like at the moment with the radar and any kind of rains coming through. I'm considering that a little bit separately because that's a little bit more obvious, and you see when it's raining outside, you grab your umbrella. This is more like how it's interacting more on a cellular level and might be affecting some people more than others, as we know. And there might be some simple actions you can take when you know that these conditions are changing. Seattle is up in the Pacific Northwest. Again, the high pressure over here, and now it's becoming more unsettled. So you can see, we'll look one more, Toronto. And Toronto is gonna pretty much now until Thursday afternoon. So especially Thursday during the day, if you are in the Toronto area, that's probably also around Buffalo, Niagara Falls area. There's going to be a sudden drop of pressure, and you are probably watching some system that's going to be coming through. Actually, we can look at the radar on that. Let's scroll on down. Here we have Toronto and Rochester. Can we zoom in a little? Yeah, Buffalo's right here. Niagara Falls is right over here. Let's see what's happening. I'm going to zoom out so we can see the pressure bands. So here's Toronto. That's the map we're looking at. And oh, what just happened? Where do I lost Toronto, guys? Here it is. I'll put it right in the middle. There's Toronto. I'm trying to find on the map where the days are. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's this little one here. Okay. So Tuesday, that's right now. Here's Toronto. The pressure is going to drop these very suddenly. So here's Wednesday night. And then let's just see, because that's showing in the next 24 hours, the next section of this, it should be coming right through. Yeah, you see this band just deepening and deepening. Okay, yeah. The lowest pressure is coming through, and it's a little bit to the north. Montreal is probably going to be looking about the same. So you can look at all of this on the radars, on the pressure maps. And I think, of course, this could change. I know I go in from time to time, but it gives you a little bit of a look ahead so that you can maybe even, if I'll be sending a message to some folks and just saying, hey, you know what, the pressure is going to drop. So pay attention, especially if you're getting migraines, that's going to be important. There were fires at the Grand Canyon. My son was supposed to be camping actually on the North Rim. Here's a picture of the North Rim and the whole canyon area. And that seems to be, they're getting it under control. And there's still a lot of people. They've evacuated everybody and moved them to safety. But I know in Utah, California, Arizona, there's a lot of fires, and it is the beginning of that season. So take precautions and especially check the air quality in those areas. We'll just look at a couple other things. This is again the NOAA graph, so we can see that we have moved into a light geomagnetic storm, so that is right here. It's a G1, and we can look at the wind speed is 704 kilometers per second. These are solar winds coming from the sun, And when they increase, it adds to that swirling of energies that's coming in, even from our wind that we're experiencing on the ground. This is solar wind coming from the cosmos, from the sun, and that is increasing. Actually, when I looked at it this morning, it was just around 600. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And finally, well, I was just going to show this because weather whiplash. I saw weather whiplash in so many headlines this week. And, I think that's that unsettled thing that we are shifting into. For the biometeorology for London, and this is just the geomagnetic activity, that would be the storm. And then I just want to show you Dublin because we just looked at all of those. We just looked at. Okay, and you know, it's the same in terms of the geomagnetic conditions and the solar activity, but as we saw on their graph, they just went through the low pressure. So that is adding, and there's the whole index is the top number, and then below it's listing all the different things that are contributing to that. So that is what's going on over there. So I'm going to stop the share. Okay, you can see things are unsettled. So we have self-care and comfort food. So let's talk about self-care first. I have a couple of things that I like to do for self-care. Self-care is just about anything that makes you feel elevated or better than you do right now. Well, maybe you're grabbing or starting to go for the stress food or something, and that would be like also a clue that, okay, maybe I need to take care of myself. I think I was doing that last night when I was really running out of energy. So one thing is an Epsom salt bath. Probably showed these before. I love Epsom salt baths. They are full of magnesium. The magnesium absorbs into your skin, and magnesium is really, really calming. So especially with all that scattery, swirly wind energy that is coming through, a nice Epsom salt bath is going to be super restorative and amazing. And if you have some, add your favorite essential oils, and that will be even better. Okay, another thing you might want to do is just light a candle or some incense and just make a nice aroma in your room, in your space. And that will really just, sometimes it's just having that reminder of, you smell the aroma and then you are thinking, oh yeah, I'm trying to calm myself down, or take some deep breaths, just enjoy the light of the candle. This is an orange blossom scented candle. It's really lovely, and I might light that one a little bit later today. Okay, another thing I really love when I'm feeling like I need to calm down or I'm feeling that scatteredness is to make a cup of herbal tea. And this is one of my favorites. It is a rosehip, what is it? It's a hibiscus tea with rosehip and elderberry in it. And any hibiscus tea is gonna have a very calming effect on the central nervous system. It's also got it's kind of tangy. It tastes really good. If it's too tangy for you, maybe add some honey. That's a good idea too. It's just also a really pretty color, and like stimulate your senses. I think that all these things like the candle, the bath, the tea, like there's aromas, there's the bath is on your skin, you're smelling the candle, you're looking at the light of the candle. Like these are all things for your senses to kind of get out of your head a little bit and into your body. And that is also very calming to the central nervous system. And I just made a little list of some ideas for comfort food. Okay, I'm thinking comfort food in the sense of maximal nutrition for your cells that need to come into balance and feel safe when there's not a point of balance with all the unsettled weather can be unsettling all the way down to a cellular level. So comfort foods are amazing for this. Even in summer, soups can be very good. Of course, there's the cold soups when it remains hot in your region, and those are very refreshing, like gazpacho and cucumber soup. Also, a just a nice simple minestrone has a lot of nutrition, a nice broth, all the vegetables, some fiber in there from the beans and pasta if you choose to add pasta. You can also just kind of make your own blend of it. Add a little drizzle of vinegar on top. The vinegar is really what helps with your body pH. We talk about that a lot on this channel. And then there's the soups that I really like with broth and egg. There's the Italian version, the stracciatella with the egg and the strips of spinach, or the Greek one, which is the avgolemono. I think I'm gonna say that wrong. It's the nice Greek soup with chicken and lemon and rice and egg, and then it's got some parsley on top. Again, there's the citrus that's coming into those soups, being the nice acid that's helping the system. And then if you're looking at other flavor profiles, you could do a chicken tortilla soup with all the lime. There's the Thai sour soups and hot and sour soup, sweet and sour. All of that is going to be amazing, amazing comfort food. And I think when you realize that, you're going to just, your body's going to absorb it. And sometimes you eat something and you can actually feel your body, and it's just like, it's the perfect nourishment for your body. So that's the message for the week, friends. We have self-care and comfort food, and check what's going on in your area, and do your best, do what you need to do to manage these changes and whatever is feeling unsettled for yourself. And thanks for tuning in. I will be back next Monday. Fingers crossed. All the things work well. And I forgot to mention the one planetary influence that's coming in. Last week we had the full moon, which was outstanding. I hope you got to enjoy it. This week, just to throw something else into the mix, we have Mercury going retrograde on the 18th, which I think that will be Friday. Friday? Yeah. Mercury's going retrograde. So travel, communication, things like that, technology tends to be a little bit unstable during the Mercury retrograde, and that will be happening for 3 weeks from the 18th. Wishing you a great week and happy middle of July, and I will see you next week. Bye.